Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with Political Science, second chapter, India's Foreign Policy. Now, what do you mean by foreign? Foreign means other countries. Okay, foreign countries. So, when we are going to deal with other countries in the matter of economic, in the matter of cultural, social, so we have some policy. So, that is called as foreign policy. So what is India's foreign policy? So that we are going to see in this chapter. In the last chapter only we have seen interdependence is all important for Indian foreign policy. Isn't that give and take between countries? So let us study about India's foreign policy. Okay. Every nation has policies about its internal dealings as also about its relation with other nation. Such a policy is called foreign policy. Whenever we are dealing with other countries, we will follow some policy. So we follow some internal, they have some policies are there. So that is called as foreign policy. Foreign policy means not we are interacting with the within countries with the other countries. All countries are the members of international system. Okay, we have already studied that none of these countries is completely self-reliant, that is self-dependent, and hence there is mutual interdependence in the international system. So that we have studied in the last chapter. So that is called as interdependence. Only this interdependence should not be benefited to few countries. So only few countries they don't need. Efforts need to be made to ensure that it benefits every nation. So some of the few countries they don't do the interdependence because they are totally fully developed nations. Each country has to decide the nation with which it should be friendly, in which bloc it should participate, or what position it should take in international relations. So that is it is our decisions. Such decisions should be made thoughtfully, which nations we should be dealing with, which nation we should make friendly relations with. Every sovereign means independent nation, free and independent country decides its own foreign policy. That is up to the country who decides its own foreign policy. Hence, in the discipline of international politics, which studies the international relations between nations, foreign policy has an important place. So foreign policy is very important when we are dealing with international politics. Okay. Understood, children? So this is all ASEAN Indian Summit, all that we have studied in our last chapter. Got it? When we are dealing with the other countries. Now this is only the national interest and foreign policy. How national interest is related to foreign policy. National interest and foreign policy are closely connected to each other. National interest is fostered through foreign policy. Fostered means it's generated. Now what is this national interest? It means through which the independence and sovereignty of nation can be safeguarded. Safeguarded means can be protected. So we have interest toward our nation, that is national interest. Also include efforts to achieve our economic development and to take steps towards increasing our national power. So when we are taking efforts to make our country more economically and socially, culturally developed, that is national interest in all the fields of life: education, production, industries, human resource, everywhere. The following factors are included in the national interest of any countries. Okay, so these are some of the factors are there. Like for example, protection of a country's independence, sovereignty and integrity is the highest national interest. So it's very important to maintain our independence, sovereignty. Now we'll see about the economic development. An economically weak nation will not be able to maintain its independence. Why? Because the other developed and other nations, they will attack on the other country who is economically poor. Hence, economic development is to be important national interest. So, if we are economically developed, then only we can defend our country. Then only we can protect our country. No other country can ever attack on us, and they can rule us like it happens before when Britishers came to India for the trading and all that we have studied in our 8th standard. Now we'll see how it is interrelated, national interests and foreign policies. It's the main objective of foreign policy. What is national interest? Foreign policy is drawn up to foster the national interest of defense and economic development. So foreign policy is very important to foster the national interest. If the country will be economically developed, then only we have this is a main important part of foreign policy and national interest. It is considered to be the goal, and the foreign policy is considered to be the means to achieve it. So it is the goal of any country. What is the goal? Economic development of any country. Okay. Goal of nations changes with changes in conditions and times. So the how goals means objectives. We have some objective, we have some goals to in our life. We want to become engineer, you want to become doctor. Same as the goal of a country will be always like we have to make our country economically developed, fully developed. Okay, now it is developing. India is developing country. Now we should work hard to make our country developed nation. Accordingly, national interest also changes according to the condition and time. Okay. Now you could see the pictures, children. Please observe these pictures very, very carefully. Therefore, foreign policy is very dynamic. Okay. Now, what is dynamic? Dynamic means very, very important. Got it, children? So, this is about the foreign. So, foreign policy is very dynamic. It's very important. And you have, do you know the part also that we don't need to do it, children. You can only read out that. So, as I have already given you the reduced past portion, this do you know part is not there. Okay. So, let us see the factors influencing foreign policy. Some nations have long coastline, whereas some have plenty of mineral wealth. So, that is about what is the first factor is geographical location. So, all the countries, they don't have same geographical location. You have already studied in your geography, like latitude, longitude, latitude and all that. Plenty. Some of the nations, they have plenty of mineral wealth. Some of the nations, they don't have. So that is, it's different in the size, changes in the size, population, topography, coastline, availability of natural resources. All these factors need to be considered while deciding the foreign policy of any country. So the foreign policy of all countries are not at all same. It differs in all these patterns. So first is the geographical nations of geographical location of any one particular country is not at all equal. Next is the political system. Now what do you mean by political system, children? In a democratic political system, the nation's parliament plays a major role in evolving foreign policy. So all countries, they don't have same political system also. Like we have, like some of the countries, we have presidential rule, isn't that? We have some of the country, we have a army rule, dictatorship and all that. When different aspects come from discussion in parliament, the opposition parties try to regulate the foreign policy by raising questions about the same. So India is only the country where we follow the democratic rule. Any country, any policy we plan to adopt in the foreign policy, that we will discuss in the parliament, and the opposition parties will be always raising the question, or they try to object it, isn't that? Federal political system. Federal means the independent political system. India is a federal country where all people have a equal status, equality, liberty. Got it? Have to take into account the inclusion of constituent states while shaping foreign policy, because the affairs in neighboring nations affect constitute states. So India is a country where we have so many states. That is why it is a federal country. So we have a constituent assembly, we have already studied. So we have to see that when we are making that, our neighboring countries should not be getting affected. We should maintain good friendly relations with our neighboring country. For example, events in Sri Lanka may affect Tamil Nadu. Those in Bangladesh may affect West Bengal and the Northeast Indian states. So these are the neighboring states. Like Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu, they speak same language. Tamil they speak. Bangladesh and West Bengal, same language. Bengali they speak. So these are the, though they are not in our country, but they share some of the common things. So we should be keeping in our mind. We should keep it in our mind that they should not be get affected by neighboring countries also. Now the third is economy. What do you mean by economy? Economy is financial status. Okay, financial status, money. In modern times, the economic condition of any country has acquired great importance in deciding foreign policy. Economic condition means some of the countries are very rich, some of the countries are poor. So that is the economic condition. As a result, the economy impacts foreign policy in two ways. So what are those two ways? So that is about the two ways of economic. First is foreign policy is shaped by the need to establish economic relation with other countries, import, export, participation in the world trade, all aimed at strengthening the economy of the country. So first is that we will see that the country who is participating means have more export and import with other countries, and they have aimed at strengthening the economy of a country. More we will do the export and import with other countries, the economy of that particular country will be more flourish. Okay, that is the first thing. And what is the second one? I hope you all are seeing the pictures and all that, children. That's why I'm using this way, so that you can see it, you will be understanding better. And the second is, in today's world, the issue of economic security are as important as national security. So this is economic security also important, not only in the money matter. The country which have more army, more defense force, they are more secure. So national security is also very, very important. So that also we have seen, you must have seen in the newspapers, that the country who have more army, they have more equipment, isn't that? So they are more powerful missiles, isn't that? So that is why national security is also very, very important. These all things, factors influence one's foreign policy. So that is this is one of the factors of foreign policy. Got it? Now, a country is recognized to be powerful in proportion to the economic security it enjoys. The country is more secure, so they are more powerful. Okay. So the next is like the countries here is given: United Kingdom, France, Portugal, and all that. Now the developed countries like US, Japan, they have more strong economy and less independent on others, because they are developed countries. US and Japan, they can have an independent foreign policy as well, because they never participated in interdependent policy. They are self-dependent countries. Okay. That is about the economic factor of one's important for foreign policy. Next is the national leadership. Okay. National leadership is the president, the prime minister, the foreign minister, and the defense minister. See, these are the defense minister, foreign minister, finance minister. They are no more. The persons holding this position try to maintain the continuity in foreign policy and to improve upon them. So they will try to see that they keep on doing new things, they keep on adding to improve the foreign policy of a country. For example, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru contributed the policy of non-alignment to India's foreign policy. So what do you mean by non-alignment movement, children? We have already studied in our last chapter that they are not going to participate in the race of any developed nations after Cold War, isn't that? Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee contributed a great deal to improving Sino-Indian relations. Sino means China and India relations. He worked very hard for that. And the fifth part is administrative factor. Administrative factor. Now, administrative factor means Ministry of External Affairs, Foreign Secretary, embassies in different countries, diplomatic officers are the administrative factors involving in creating foreign policy. These all are the officials who are working to create foreign policy. Okay, foreign secretary, external affairs, embassies in different countries. All countries, in all countries we have Indian embassies. In India we have embassies of all other countries also in New Delhi. Got it. Even though the final decisions about foreign policy are taken by Prime Minister and Minister for External Affairs, the administrative machinery helps to arrive at that decision. So the final decisions will be taken by Prime Minister only, but the foreign ministers, the foreign external affairs, they all take the collective decisions. The administrative officers collect information needed to shape the foreign policy, analyze it, and give appropriate advice based on it. So all are the administrative officers? Just we have seen about the foreign, the secretary, about the embassies, all that. Okay. The National Security Advisor also completes the task. So these all are the people, those who are all together, they are working to form a foreign policy of one country. Our India, we're talking about our country. So this is about the foreign policy. Okay. Now today in this chapter we have seen about foreign policy, meaning of foreign policy, and factors influencing foreign policy, that is geographical location, political system, economy, national leadership, administrative factors. So this is very, very important, children. Learn the meaning of foreign policy and the factors. So when in the paper they will be asking you about the factors, all these 5 factors you have to write at least 2 to 3 lines. Understood? I hope you understood this chapter, though it seems to be a bit difficult, a little bit difficult, but it's not so difficult. Okay, and very, very important. In all your higher classes also it will be there for you. So if you have any problem, please ask me personally. Okay, bye, take care.